Have you ever wondered how a man can rise from an obscure birth to become the ruler of an empire? In the heart of Rome, in the year 100 BCE, a child of patrician lineage was born. His name was Julius Caesar. His birth was not marked by celestial signs or prophetic dreams, but by the silent ambition that lay dormant within him. This ambition was not of an ordinary kind. It was an ambition that hungered for power, for influence, for dominance. Julius Caesar was not born with a silver spoon, nor was his path to greatness laid with roses. His family, though noble, was not among the wealthiest or the most influential in Rome. But this did not deter young Caesar. He was driven by a relentless desire, a fervent aspiration to rise above the ordinary, to carve a niche for himself in the annals of history. His journey began in the political arena of Rome, where his charisma, intelligence, and strategic alliances proved to be his greatest assets. His alliance with Crassus, the richest man in Rome, and Pompey, a military hero, marked the beginning of what is known as the First Triumvirate. This was not merely a political alliance, but a tactical maneuver that set the stage for Caesar's rise to prominence. He was a man of the people, and the people were his ladder to power. He knew their pulse, their desires, their fears. He used this knowledge, this understanding of the human psyche, to his advantage. He won their hearts, their loyalty, their support. And with each step he took, with each victory he achieved, he was not merely climbing the political ladder, he was ascending the throne of an empire. Julius Caesar, from a young age, had his eyes set on the top, a vision that would take him places, and a determination that would shake the very pillars of Rome. Did you know that Julius Caesar was not just a politician, but also a formidable general? Indeed, the power of Julius Caesar extended far beyond the Roman Senate's marble halls. He was a military strategist par excellence, and his conquest of Gaul stands as a testament to his prowess. When we talk about Caesar's military campaigns, Gaul is a chapter that commands our attention. It was a region that spanned across parts of modern-day France, Switzerland, and Belgium, a land unknown, untamed, and rich in resources and potential glory. Caesar, the audacious tactician, dared to venture where no Roman had previously succeeded. The conquest of Gaul was not simply a military exhibition. It was a masterclass in leadership, strategy, and perseverance. Caesar's strategies were innovative and bold, often catching his enemies off guard. He understood the terrain, studied his opponents, and used every resource at his disposal to secure victory. But it wasn't just Caesar's strategic mind that won the day. It was his leadership that truly set him apart. He led from the front, sharing the hardships of his soldiers, fighting alongside them in the heat of battle. He was not just their general, but their comrade, their inspiration. This endeared him to his soldiers, who followed him with unwavering loyalty. Caesar's conquest of Gaul was a long and brutal campaign, stretching over 8 years. But it was not in vain. His victories expanded Rome's territories, reaching across the Rhine and even touching the Atlantic. But perhaps more importantly, they consolidated his own power and influence. He returned to Rome a hero, a conqueror. His victories in Gaul had not only added to the glory of Rome, but also to his personal prestige. He was no longer just a politician, but a military hero, a status that gave him leverage in the power games of Rome. Caesar, the conqueror, had not only expanded Rome's territories, but also consolidated his own power and influence. The stage was set for his next move, a decision that would change the course of Roman history forever. Ever heard the phrase crossing the Rubicon? It was Julius Caesar who gave it its historical significance. The Rubicon, a seemingly inconsequential river in northern Italy, became the stage for an act of defiance that would change the course of history. Julius Caesar, the conqueror of Gaul, stood on its banks, contemplating a decision that would shatter the Roman Republic. In the backdrop of this pivotal moment was a deep-seated political conflict. Caesar, with his victories in Gaul, had gained immense popularity among the Roman people, a fact that didn't sit well with the Roman Senate. They feared his power, his influence, and most of all, they feared his ambition. And so, they ordered him to disband his army and return to Rome. But there was a catch. He was to leave his legions behind, entering the city as a private citizen, vulnerable and stripped of his power. Caesar, however, was not a man to be trifled with. He knew that crossing the Rubicon with his army was tantamount to declaring war on the Senate. It was a bold move, a daring challenge, a point of no return. But Caesar, ever the strategist, chose to cross the Rubicon, effectively declaring, "The die is cast." What ensued was a civil war that shook the very foundations of Rome. Caesar, with his legions, fought against the forces of the Senate. It was a brutal and bloody conflict, but Caesar, with his military genius, emerged victorious. He had defied the Senate, won the war, and in doing so had altered the course of Roman history. The Rubicon was crossed, and with that, Rome had entered a new era, an era under Julius Caesar. This was more than just a military victory. It was a statement, a declaration that Caesar was not just a commander, not just a politician, but a force that would shape the destiny of Rome. In the history of Rome, no man had ever held as much power as Julius Caesar did. Following his audacious crossing of the Rubicon, Caesar found himself in an unprecedented position of authority. He had become the Dictator in Perpetuity, a title that echoed his immense influence and power. Caesar's reign was marked by several key reforms that would shape Rome's future. He overhauled the Roman calendar, introducing what we now know as the Julian calendar, with a year of 365 and a quarter days. This system was so precise that it remained in use throughout Europe until the introduction of the Gregorian calendar in the late 16th century. Caesar also restructured the Roman government, centralizing power and authority with himself. He increased the number of senators, filling the Senate with his allies, thereby ensuring his decisions went unopposed. This move, while strategically brilliant, stirred discontent among the traditional Roman elite. But it wasn't all politics. Caesar was a man of the people. He initiated massive public works projects, providing employment for Rome's jobless masses. He hosted lavish public feasts and games, further increasing his popularity among the common people. Yet, despite his popularity, Caesar's dictatorial style didn't sit well with everyone. Many in the Senate viewed him as a threat to the Republic's traditions and values. His centralization of power was seen as a direct challenge to the Senate's authority. This tension would ultimately lead to a conflict that Caesar, despite his brilliant military mind and political savvy, could not win. In the end, Caesar's reign as dictator was a paradox. On one hand, he brought about much-needed reforms and won the hearts of the common people. On the other hand, his concentration of power and disregard for traditional Roman governance created enemies within the Senate, setting the stage for his ultimate downfall. Caesar the dictator was at the peak of his power. But as they say, the higher you climb, the harder you fall. Have you ever wondered about the circumstances that led to one of history's most famous assassinations? It was the Ides of March, a day now synonymous with betrayal and the fall of a titan. Julius Caesar, the great conqueror, the dictator in perpetuity, was about to meet a fate he perhaps never imagined. A conspiracy was brewing in the heart of Rome, a plotting by senators who saw Caesar's power as a threat to the Republic. This group, known as the Liberators, was led by Brutus and Cassius, men who were once allies of Caesar. Their plan was simple yet audacious: assassinate Caesar, restore the Republic. On the fateful day, the 15th of March, Caesar was due to attend a Senate meeting at the Theater of Pompey. Despite a soothsayer's warning and his wife's ominous dreams, Caesar stepped into the Senate, unaware of the doom that awaited him. As he took his seat, the conspirators surrounded him. Casca struck the first blow, and the others followed. Brutus, Caesar's friend, delivered the final stab. Et tu, Brute? And you, Brutus? Caesar's alleged last words, immortalized by Shakespeare, echoed the ultimate betrayal. The aftermath was immediate and chaotic. Rome plunged into civil war, the conspirators fled, and the dream of restoring the Republic was shattered. Instead, Caesar's death paved the way for the rise of the Roman Empire and his adopted heir, Octavian, who would become Augustus, the first Roman emperor. Caesar's legacy, however, lives on. His military strategies, reforms, and his influence on the Latin language are testaments to his impact on history. His life and death marked the end of the Roman Republic and the beginning of the Roman Empire. Julius Caesar, a man who dared to dream big, to reach for the stars. His life was a testament to ambition, power, and the fragility of it all. His story serves as a reminder of the ever-present tension between ambition and morality, between power and its inevitable corruption,